So, have you seen it? The posts, the chatter all over social media about a possible $2,000 stimulus check from the government? Yeah, it's been everywhere. Today, we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're going to use a source that, trust me, you would never expect. So, where are we getting our facts today? Not from some big financial news network. Nope. Our source is the Faya Relationship Podcast, hosted by the author Blaze on Faya. And yes, you heard that correctly. A relationship podcast is the one tackling this huge government rumor. And what makes this so unusual is what this podcast is normally all about. I mean, their whole mission is usually focused on building healthy relationships, helping people heal from trauma, and, as they put it, ending the gender wars. Just to give you a feel for their usual vibe, they're typically talking about really deep topics, like the stuff from Blaze's book, The Ugly Side of Healing, and they get into some very candid conversations about everything from soul ties to, well, intimacy. For instance, in one episode, the co-host Nikki just comes right out and says it. Size matters. It's that kind of super frank, personal, and, let's be honest, pretty funny conversation that makes their sudden pivot to a serious public service announcement so interesting. So let's get right into the rumor itself. The podcast hosts, they really felt like they had a responsibility to just cut through all the noise. They saw their listeners getting excited, making plans based on all this misinformation, and the host, Blaze on Fire, decided, nope, I've got to set the record straight. Which brings us to the million-dollar question, or I guess the $2,000 question, that everyone is asking. Is this for real? Is there a check for $2,000 on its way to your house? And the short answer is no. Based on all the research that Blaze presented to her audience, there is no approved plan for a $2,000 stimulus payment right now. But they didn't just drop that bombshell and walk away. They explained exactly why this rumor is spreading like wildfire. Okay, this is where we really get to the heart of all the confusion, and honestly, the podcast did a fantastic job breaking this down. It all comes down to understanding the difference between a political idea and an actual signed into law plan. So on one side, you have the rumor that's just flying around social media, a $2,000 check is coming. But the reality, like the podcast laid out, is that this is just a political proposal from former President Trump. It is not a law, and Congress, and only Congress, has to approve any government spending like this. All right, let's dig a little deeper into the details of this proposal that Blaze on Fire shared, because the specifics here are really important. Okay, so first, it is just a proposal. It has to get through Congress. Second, the way they're suggesting to pay for it through tariffs, well, that might not actually generate enough cash to cover the cost. Third, there are even suggestions that this could end up as tax cuts, not actual checks in your hand. And finally, and this is a big one, you got to remember that all the previous stimulus payments were passed because of specific laws, not just an announcement. And the reaction from the co-hosts it captures how so many people are feeling. Rake just sighed in disappointment, saying that $2,000 would have really come in handy right about now. And, a lot of us can relate to that feeling. Then you have co-host Nikki's reaction, which shows the real-world consequences of this kind of misinformation. She said, "Baby, I was going to use mine to put down on a car, and now I have to figure something else out." And that's exactly why getting the facts is so critical. People's actual hopes and financial plans are getting tied up in this. So because of all this, the podcast shifted from just debunking the rumor to giving some really crucial advice, to protect their listeners from getting their hopes dashed, or even worse, getting scammed. The main takeaway, the most important piece of advice, came right from the host, Blaze, who said, that's why it's necessary to do your own research, especially before getting your hopes up. That's really the core message here. And they gave some very clear, practical warnings. First, beware of scams, because they're going to pop up around this. Second, remember, since this isn't a real program, there is no application process. Be super skeptical of anyone asking for your personal or financial info. And finally, for any real government payment, the IRS website is always going to be the official, trustworthy source. So there you have it. Who would have thought a relationship podcast would deliver one of the clearest explainers on a major financial rumor? It's a great reminder that good information can come from some pretty unexpected places. But it also leaves us with a really important question to think about. In this massive ocean of online noise, where do you turn for information you can actually trust?